everybody? This is Combat Sports Podcast coming at you with a new video breakdown of UFC Vegas 107. We're going to start off with the prelims, and tomorrow we're going to do the main card. We're going to split it up between two videos. Alright, let's get started with the first fight. First, we're going to start off with Rayanne dos Santos, 14-8, versus Ardelean, 9-7. Let's get on to dos Santos. She was a champion in another organization. She's fighting since 2015. She's 0-2 in the UFC. Her last two fights, she was a heavy favorite. I want to say like plus 200 odds to win. She lost both of her last fights, 2 decisions. So both of her last fights have gone, both of her fights in the UFC have gone a decision. She does have a couple finishes before in her other career. In her other organizations and all that. But she lost to Denise Gomez in the Dana White Contender Series in 2022. She then proceeded to win 3 fights after that in another organization. Then got signed back into the UFC. She's got alright striking by the number that I was looking at. She's pretty quick on her hands, and she got a great submission game. So 8 out of her 14 wins are by submission. But in the UFC, it usually goes to decision, and same with Alice. Let's move on to Ardelean. She's been fighting since 2012. She was 0-2 in the UFC. Before the UFC, she was on a 7-fight win streak. She did lose to Zhang Weiliang in 2016 in Top FC. So she does have a little bit better competition than dos Santos. Her takedown is pretty good, but with dos Santos having such great submission game, I would not be attempting that. Dos Santos does attempt some takedowns, I bet, but by the looks of it, Ardelean's takedown defense is really good. So, and the UFC she's never been taken down. That might change this time. Even if she goes for a takedown, I can see dos Santos maybe catching her in a submission. But most likely, I feel like dos Santos will probably stuff the takedown attempts, and it'll probably be a stand-up battle. I say both of their striking numbers are pretty even. On this one, I got dos Santos winning by decision. Later on, I'll make a video about a parlay. I'll do like a little cycle. I got a decision, a submission, and a knockout. And up next, we got MarQuel, Mederos versus Bolaji, Oki, the Zulu Warrior. First, we'll start off with MarQuel. He started fighting in 2021. He's coming off a win to Austin Hubbard, I'm pretty sure. He has 8 knockouts. He has 0 submissions, which I think is going to get pretty scary. Because if Oki isn't scared of takedowns, since he got submitted his last fight, which I'll get into, he might be dangerous and it might turn into a boring fight. But if not, I think it's going to be a banging fight. But starting off with MarQuel, he got into the UFC by a knockout in the Dana White Contender Series in 2022, I believe. Let's see here. 2023 it was. He does have 0 takedowns attempted in the UFC, so I don't know how that's going to go. Because I know Oki likes to take it to the ground sometimes. But this will be his test to see how his takedown defense is. This could be, if he can stuff the takedowns and all that, I could see him getting a knockout win here, since he does have 6 knockouts. So that means he has great power, and he does have a little bit of speed. But if this fight doesn't go to the ground, it will be a banging fight. Let's move on to the Zulu Warrior, Oki. He's 9-2. He's been fighting since 2017. He was a former champ in AFC, which is another organization. Let's go look at his fight center thing over here. He is coming off a loss to Chris Duncan by submission. He got caught in a guillotine, so like I said, he might be a little hesitant going in on the takedowns. But saying that MarQuel doesn't have any submissions in his career, I don't see that being a really threatening thing or something that will be in the back of his mind. But he got into the UFC in 2023 by a knockout in the Dana White Contender Series. He is a little bit quicker than MarQuel, but I think MarQuel has the more power, and I could see that Oki's gonna go for a takedown, and MarQuel's gonna catch him, and it's gonna be over. I got MarQuel winning this, the underdog, I believe. It's gonna be surprising here. This will be a part of my parlay. I got MarQuel winning by KO here, but if not, just go for the straight money line. He is the underdog, and like I said, Oki did come off a submission loss, so he might be a little hesitant on going for the takedowns, but he better be going for those takedowns if he wants to win. Let's move on to the next one. Up next is Kurt the Hurt Holobaugh versus Jordan the Monkey King Levitt. First, we'll start off with Kurt. He has 21 wins, 9 losses, and 1 no contest. He started fighting since 2008, so he does have a lot of experience on his record. He also is coming off a loss to Alexander Hernandez, unanimous decision. He has 7 knockouts and 10 submission wins, so he is really well rounded. He was in the UFC before this. Well, before he was in the UFC already, but he then got cut, went out, got a few wins, and they signed him back. So he's on a pretty good track. He has a loss, of course, to Hernandez, which is amazing. So I really don't count that against him. His opponent is a really good grappler. He's only gotten finished twice in his whole career. Other than that, it's all decision losses. So he has a chin on him. So I could see this maybe going to decision, but I don't think so because let's talk about Jordan actually before I start getting into the because why. Move on to Jordan, the Monkey King Levitt. He is 11-3, 6 submissions. He has been fighting since 2017. He's coming off a loss to Chase Hooper, but that was over a year and a half ago, I believe. He did have a grappling match last year, but that's nothing compared to MMA, so I don't think that's really going to do anything unless he tries to take it to the ground. But like I said, Kurt does have 10 submission wins, so I don't really think he wants to do that, but he might. He also has knockouts, so he doesn't really want to keep it standing. In the layoff, I don't think it's going to work out for him. I don't see how he is the favorite in this fight, but um, they both have pretty bad takedown defense, so maybe whoever gets the shot on him first will win and just hopefully grind them out. But I see they both have pretty good submission, like I said, so I don't know if they're going to want to do that. Usually, what happens when a grappler versus a grappler, it leads to a striking match. And from what I see, Kurt has more power and is way faster than him. So I don't understand how he's the favorite. Like I've been saying, I think this is one of my steals of the card right here. Uh, let's get into a little bit of a parlay I got. I'll make a short about this so people can see this. More people can see this. So it'll be a short. We'll start off with a circle parlay. It's going to be the first 3 fights of the night. We got Dos Santos by decision, MarQuel by knockout, and then I'm going to do Kurt by submission or knockout. He will get the finish, so I'll do a double chance on that. I bet the odds will be great. I will show the odds when I get the odds, and more odds come out later on in the week. But I do got Kurt winning this fight. If you just want to take the flat out underdog, he will win this fight because I think Jordan's ring rest, and not being in the ring for over a year, it's going to affect him a little bit. On to the next one. And then we got Trevin, the problem Giles, stepping in short notice, 1 week for Jeremiah Wells, which I think this would have been a banging fight. Regardless, I still think this will be a banging fight since we have a veteran stepping in. But this is versus a newcomer into the UFC, Andreas Bane Gustafsson. He is 11-2, but let's start into Giles, the veteran. He, like I said, stepping in 1 week short notice for Wells, fighting since 2014. He has went on an 11 win streak when he first started professional MMA. So he was a beast back in his day. Since he got into the UFC in like what? Let's see if I have it up over here. I believe it's around what 2017 or something. He got into the UFC. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it up, but yeah, in 2017 he got into the UFC, and he is 7-7, so it hasn't been working that well for him. But he is well rounded. He has 6 KOs, 5 subs, and then the rest are decision. So he's just a well rounded guy. This is just a bad fight all around because he's stepping in short notice. He is on a 4 fight losing streak, so I mean 3, about to be 4. That's why I said 4, because he's gonna lose this fight short notice to a guy that's looking like he's gonna be a beast. But here we're pulling up to see what 2017, I believe, right? Yeah, since 2017, he's been in there. I guess he's done pretty good. He does have really good competition. Like these are beasts, And actually, Carlos Prates with MVP is in the talks. I said that was one of my matchups I really wanted, and it might be happening. But anyways, let's move on to Bane. Andreas. He is fighting since 2016. He has a lot of amateur fights. I'm talking about a lot. See if we can go see how many he has. Yeah, look at that. A shit ton of amateur fights. So he's basically a pro when he went into a pro. He is a beast. Like I said, he got into the UFC by a Dana White Contender Series knockout in 2024. He went pro in 2019. This is his first event, which I said already, I believe. He is 8 KOs, 5 submission, and he's coming off 3 win streak here, a 3 fight win streak here. Um, he has a ton of canceled bouts, if you see, which is just unlucky. Well, not a ton, but like a lot recently. So it's just been bad luck for him. But this should be a finish for him, I believe. It should be a finish. If it goes to decision, that'll be crazy. Since, I mean, I guess the only thing I can see is Giles, how much of a experience he has, how much experience he has, I mean. But like I said, Gustafsson has been fighting a ton of amateur fights, so he has a lot of more fights under his name than what's to be said. So I do have Gustafsson winning this by finish. All right, let's move on to the next one. Up next, we got a number 3 and a number 5 ranking in the women's bantamweight. First, we'll start off with the number 3, Ketlen Phenomenal Vieira, was the number 5, Macy Chiasson. We'll start off with Vieira. She is 14-4. Been fighting since 2014. Has great wins versus Misha Tate and Holly Holmes. She is 8-4 in the UFC. She's coming off to a loss to the one and only Kayla Harrison, which has a fight in UFC 316, June 7th, and she is going to dominate that fight versus Pena. It's not even going to be close, I feel like. But I will break that down next Thursday. This is a pick'em fight. It's up in the air for me. I'm not sure who's gonna win. I was thinking Vera's gonna win, but then I'm looking here at the height and the reach, and I feel like that's gonna take a big effect on this fight. Because let's go on and talk about Macy here. She has been fighting in the UFC basically her whole life. She has a 10-3 record, and she has 8-3 in the UFC. She's on a 2 fight win streak, and she won her last fight versus Bruno Silva with some nasty power. It just shows. She had a nasty cut above her eyebrow. It was disgusting. I'll put a clip of it or a picture up probably here. But it was nasty. So that just shows how much power Macy has. Uh, but she does not have as much experience with opponents, or like as good as opponents as I say Vera does. But I always want to say the Brazilian's gonna win, but just looking at the height, look at the height difference and the reach. I feel like that's gonna play a big factor in it. And I did have Vera winning this fight, but just looking off this right now, I'm gonna go ahead and say Macy won't win this. There's a big change because I literally had her down winning, but just looking at the height and the reach, I think that's gonna play a big factor. And like I say, I'm gonna stand out here and say that this should have been either the co-main in the main event in the prelims, or been in the main card because this is top 5 ranked right here. But let's move on to the final here, the main event of the prelims will be Allan Pero Oso Nascimento versus Jafel Bastard Filho. We're gonna start off with Nascimento. He is 20-6. He's been fighting since 2011. 2 fight win streak. He has 15 subs and is 2-2 in the UFC, including his loss to the Dana White Contender Series. In the Dana White Contender Series, he did not get the job, but he went out, got a win, and then the UFC called him up, and he got into the UFC. So it all worked out at the end. I think he's slightly faster than Phil over here. Same power, but he has great ground game with those 15 submissions, which is wild. So that has to play a big factor in Phil's mindset, I feel like, knowing that this guy can get a submission finish anytime. But let's move on to Phil here. He is 16-3, fighting since 2012. He's on a 2 fight win streak, including his Dana White Contender Series win, which got him into the UFC in 2022. But he got fucked right away and got put up against Muhammad Molkov, which is a beast, undefeated. The UFC hated him, so they cut him because he is someone you don't want to deal with. But he also has 10 subs and 5 knockouts, so I say he has better power than him. But I mean, goes to show that he can also get submissions. So I think the submission we're going to play a factor. But by looking at the 10 submission finishes here, I'm saying that it's also going to play in Nascimento's mind that he's like, oh, okay, my opponent can do the same thing as me. And yeah, it might be quicker, but if he catches me, he can drop me. And then he can get on top and finish it from there. But I say that this is going to be an upset here. And I'm going to go with Filho winning this because they're both dangerous submission artists. I just say that Filho has more power, and if this stays standing up, he wins. And it could either could get subbed at any moment. So if I bet the odds for a sub, it's just out of here. But if you want to say upset here, I got Filho winning this. If you go look at this here, let's do a little recap on who we got here. So I'll start off with I got Dos Santos winning, and this is where she's gonna win by decision. I got MarQuel winning. He's going to win by knockout, I say. And I got Kurt winning here by knockout or submission. Now I'm just going to go here with Gustafsson winning by finish. I went over here, changed it up on Ketlen Vieira. So I got Macy winning. And then I got Filho winning this one. So I got a lot of underdogs winning here and a pick 'em here. I think Andreas is probably going to be a big blowout. Like, odds are going to be crazy. So I wouldn't even bet money on it unless there's a good one by finish or something. But I will be talking about more parlays. I'll drop something Friday, maybe Thursday, but most likely Friday. Thursday I'll probably do an edit or something. So that's it for the prelims of Vegas 107. Wednesday I will do the main card of Vegas 107. But let's get into some slight updates and news. Wednesday I'll have more updates and some rumors going around about UFC fights. But here are some news for today. August 23rd, I saw Johnny Walker versus Zhang Mingyang. Wow, they really want you to kill my boy Johnny Walker because if y'all know, that dude has gotten knocked out so many times, bad, hurt so many times. It's just terrible. They're trying to give that guy CTE and get him kicked out of the UFC or something. I don't know what they're doing with him. And then, did you see Merab broke his toe? Crazy. He said he head kicked someone or something. That just goes to show he does not care. That dude's training 100%. He's not really that smart, but he is a beast in the octagon. I'll put a picture of it up. Thank you, everybody. Like and subscribe.